was wondering whether you'd thought any more about Defense Against the Dark Arts, Harry.
Course I have. Can't forget it, can we, with that hag teaching us?
I meant the idea Ron and I had. Oh, all right. The idea I had then, about you teaching us.
Well, yeah, I've thought about it a bit.
And?
I don't know.
I thought it was a good idea from the start.
What I said about a load of it being luck, didn't you?
Yes, Harry, but all the same, there's no point pretending that you're not good at Defense Against the Dark Arts, because you are. You were the only person last year who could throw off the Imperious Curse completely. You can produce a Patronus. You can do all sorts of stuff that full-grown wizards can't. Victor always said... What did Vicky say? Ho, ho. He said Harry knew how to do stuff. Even he didn't. And he was in the final year at Durmstrang. You're not still in contact with him, are you? So what if I am? He didn't only want to be your pen pal. What do you think? Will you teach us?
Just you and Ron, yeah?
Well, now don't fly off the handle again, Harry, please. But I really think you ought to teach anyone who wants to learn. I mean, we're talking about defending ourselves against Voldemort. Oh, don't be pathetic, Ron. It doesn't seem fair if we don't offer the chance to other people.
Yeah, but I doubt anyone except you two would want to be taught by me. I'm a nutter, remember?
Well, I think you might be surprised how many people would be interested in hearing what you've got to say. Look, Pim, you know the first weekend in October's a Hogsmeade weekend. How would it be if we tell anyone who's interested to meet us in the village, and we can talk it over?
Why do we have to do it outside school?
Because I don't think Umbridge would be very happy if she found out what we were up to. Well, you can't blame him for wanting to get out and about. I mean, he's been on the run for over 2 years, hasn't he? And I know that can't have been a laugh, but at least he was free, wasn't he? And now he's just shut up all the time with that lunatic elf. The trouble is, till Voldemort, oh, for heaven's sake, Ron, comes out into the open, Sirius is going to have to stay hidden, isn't he? I mean, the stupid Ministry isn't going to realize Sirius is innocent until they accept that Dumbledore's been telling the truth about him all along. And once the fools start catching real Death Eaters again, it'll be obvious Sirius isn't one. I mean, he hasn't got the mark, for one thing. I don't reckon he'd be stupid enough to turn up. Dumbledore would go mad if he did, and Sirius listens to Dumbledore even if he doesn't like what he hears. Listen, Ron and I have been sounding out people who we thought might want to learn some proper Defense Against the Dark Arts, and there are a couple who seem interested. We've told them to meet us in Hogsmeade.
Right.
Don't worry, Harry. You've got enough on your plate without Sirius, too.
Why was Filch sniffing you? I suppose he was checking for the smell of dung bombs. I forgot to tell you.
He was tipped off you were ordering dung bombs? But who had tipped him off?
I don't know. Maybe Malfoy. He'd think it was a laugh.
Malfoy? Well, yes. Maybe.
Where are we going, anyway? The Three Broomsticks?
Oh, no. No, it's always packed and really noisy. I've told the others to meet us in the Hog's Head, that other pub. You know the one. It's not on the main road. I think it's a bit, you know, dodgy. But students don't normally go in there, so I don't think we'll be overheard. Come on.
I don't know about this, Hermione. Has it occurred to you Umbridge might be under that?
Umbridge is shorter than that woman. Anyway, even if Umbridge does come in here, there's nothing she can do to stop us, Harry, because I've double and triple checked the school rules. We're not out of bounds. I specifically asked Professor Flitwick whether students were allowed to come in the Hogshead, and he said yes, but he advised me strongly to bring our own classes. And I've looked up everything I can think of about study groups and homework groups, and they're definitely allowed. I just don't think it's a good idea if we parade what we're doing.
No.
What?
3 butterbeers, please.
6 sickles.
I'll get them.
You know what? We could order anything we liked in here. I bet that bloke would sell us anything. He wouldn't care. I've always wanted to try fire whiskey. You are a prefect.
Oh, yeah. So who did you say is supposed to be meeting us?
Just a couple of people. I told them to be here about now, and I'm sure they all know where it is. Oh, look, this might be them now.
A couple of people? A couple of people?
Yes, well, the idea seemed quite popular. Ron, do you want to pull up some more chairs?
Hi, we have 25 butterbeers, please. Cheers. Cough up, everyone. I haven't got enough gold for all these. What have you been telling people?
What are they expecting? I told you, they just want to hear what you've got to say.
Hi, Harry.
Well, hi. Well, you know why you're here. Harry here had the idea. I had the idea that it might be good if people who wanted to study Defense Against the Dark Arts, and really study it, you know, not the rubbish that Umbridge is doing with us, because nobody could call that Defense Against the Dark Arts.
Hear, hear.
Well, I thought it would be good if we, took matters into our own hands. Learning how to defend ourselves properly, not just theory, but the real spells. You want to pass your Defense Against the Dark Arts OWL too, though, I bet. Of course I do, but I want more than that. I want to be properly trained in defense because Lord Voldemort's back. Well, that's the plan, anyway. If you want to join us, we need to decide how we're going to...
Where's the proof you know who's back?
Well, Dumbledore believes it.
You mean Dumbledore believes him?
Who are you?
Zacharias Smith. And I think we've got the right to know exactly what makes him say you know who's back.
Look, that's really not what this meeting was supposed to be about.
It's okay, Hermione. What makes me say you know who's back? I saw him. But Dumbledore told the whole school what happened last year, and if you didn't believe him, you don't believe me, and I'm not wasting an afternoon trying to convince anyone. All Dumbledore told us last year was that Cedric Diggory got killed by you-know-who, and that you brought Diggory's body back to Hogwarts. He didn't give us details. He didn't tell us exactly how Diggory got murdered. I think we'd all like to know. If you've come to hear exactly what it looks like when Voldemort murders someone, I can't help you. I don't want to talk about Cedric Diggory, all right? So if that's what you're here for, you might as well clear out.
So, like I was saying, if you want to learn some defense, then we need to work out how we're going to do it, how often we're going to meet, and where we're going to... Is it true that you can produce a Patronus?
Yeah.
A corporeal Patronus?
You don't know Madam Bones, do you?
She's my auntie. I'm Susan Bones. She told me about your hearing. So, is it really true? You make a stag Patronus?
Blimey, Harry. I never knew that. Mum told Ron not to spread it around. She said you got enough attention as it was. She's not wrong.
Did you kill a basilisk with that sword in Dumbledore's office? That's what one of the portraits on the wall told me when I was in there last year.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Wow. And in our first year, he saved that sorcerer's stone. Sorcerers. Yes, that. From you-know-who. And that's not to mention all the tasks he had to get through in the Tri-Wizard tournament last year, getting past dragons and merpeople and acromantulus and things. Look, I don't want to sound like I'm trying to be modest or anything, but I had a lot of help with all that stuff. Not with a dragon, you didn't. That was a seriously cool bit of flying. And nobody helped you get rid of those Dementors this summer? No, okay, I know I did bits of it without help, but the point I'm trying to make is... Are you trying to weasel out of showing us any of this stuff? Here's an idea. Why don't you shut your mouth? Well, we've all turned up to learn from him, and now he's telling us he can't really do any of it. That's not what he said. Would you like us to clean out your ears for you? Or any part of your body, really? We're not fussy where we stick this. Yes, well, moving on, the point is, are we agreed we want to take lessons from Harry? Right, well then, the next question is how often we do it. I really don't think there's any point in meeting less than once a week. Hang on. We need to make sure this doesn't clash with our Quidditch practice. No, with ours. No, ours. I'm sure we can find a night that suits everyone. But you know, this is rather important. We're talking about learning to defend ourselves against Voldemort's Death Eaters. Well said. Personally, I think this is really important. Possibly more important than anything else we'll do this year, even with our OWLs coming up. Surely not, when nobody spoke. I personally am at a loss to see why the Ministry has foisted such a useless teacher upon us at this critical period. Obviously they're in denial about the return of you-know-who, but to give us a teacher who is trying to actively prevent us from using defensive spells. We think the reason Umbridge doesn't want us trained in defense against the dark arts is that she's got some mad idea that Dumbledore could use the students in the school as a kind of private army. She thinks he'd mobilize us against the Ministry. Well, that makes sense. After all, Cornelius Fudge's got his own private army. What? Yes, he's got an army of heliopaths. No, he hasn't. Yes, he has. What are heliopaths? They're spirits of fire. Great, tall, flaming creatures that gallop across the ground, burning everything in front of... They don't exist, Neville. Oh, yes, they do. I'm sorry, but where's the proof of that? There are plenty of eyewitness accounts. Just because you're so narrow-minded, you need to have everything shoved under your nose before you... Weren't we trying to decide how often we're going to meet and get defense lessons? Yes, we were. You're right. Well, once a week sounds cool. As long as... Yes, we know about the Quidditch. Well, the other thing to decide is where we're going to meet. Library? I can't see Madam Pince being too chuffed with us doing jinxes in the library. Maybe an unused classroom. Yeah, McGonagall might let us have hers. She did when Harry was practicing for the Tri-Wizard. Right. Well, we'll try to find somewhere. We'll send a message around to everybody when we've got a time and a place for the first meeting. I think everybody should write their name down, just so we know who was here, but I also think that we all ought to agree not to shout about what we're doing. So if you sign, you're agreeing not to tell Umbridge or anybody else what we're up to. Well, I'm sure Ernie will tell me when the meeting is. Well, we are prefects. And if this list was found, well, I mean to say, you said yourself, if Umbridge finds out. You just said this group was the most important thing you'd do this year. Yes, I do believe that. It's just... Ernie, Do you really think I'd leave that list lying around?
No, of course not. Yes, of course I'll sign. Well, time's ticking on. George Lee and I have got items of a sensitive nature to purchase. We'll be seeing you all later.
Well, I think that went quite well.
That Zacharias bloke's a wart.
I don't like him much either. But he overheard me talking to Ernie and Hannah at the Hufflepuff table, and he seemed really interested in coming, so what could I say? But the more people, the better, really. I mean, Michael Corner and his friends wouldn't have come if he hadn't been going out with Ginny.
He's what?
She's going out with... My sister's going... What do you mean, Michael Corner? Well, that's why he and his friends came, I think. Well, they're obviously interested in learning defense, but if Ginny hadn't told Michael what was going on...
When did she...
They met at the Yule Ball, and they got together at the end of last year. I could do with a new quill.
Which one was Michael Corner?
The dark one.
I didn't like him.
Big surprise. But I thought Ginny fancied Harry. Ginny used to fancy Harry, but she gave up on him months ago. Not that she doesn't like you, of course.
So that's why she talks now. She never used to talk in front of me.
Exactly. Yes, I think I'll have this one. Ron, this is exactly why Ginny hasn't told you she's seeing Michael. She knew you'd take it badly, so don't harp on about it, for heaven's sake.
What do you mean? Who's taking anything badly? I'm not going to harp on about anything.
And talking about Michael and Ginny, what about Cho and you?
What do you mean?
Had he been that obvious? Well, she just couldn't keep her eyes off you, could she?